Is anybody here? And can you hear me properly? And can you see the typing? Great. Is the font size big enough, or is there some problem with the screen layout? Or great. And is it big enough, or does it need to be larger font size? Okay, great. How are you? Fantastic. I'm also quite good. I had this skiing accident last week, and I was planning to make this stream, but then I ended up in emergency at hospital because it was not a simple accident. It was quite bad, and now I have these things when I walk. So uh, yeah, but I am good otherwise too, and coding is possible even with a bad leg. Yeah, it was pretty bad, like bad luck, and I wasn't going fast, and I just started skiing like 3-4 minutes, and then this weird, uh, the ski went opposite way, like the skis are like this, and one of them twisted opposite way because it got stuck in the snow somehow, and yeah, hi. So I was just telling the what happened last week and why the stream didn't happen, and I was delaying it for this week. But yeah, I think that we can probably start doing whatever we do today. And the thing is, I was planning to check what happened during this coding ultra marathon, and one of the projects that I got comments on that people liked was this snowfall. And I thought that this would be an interesting idea to try to re-implement and teach you guys how to do it. And I thought that this series is going to be something like that, where I take it slow. Like this marathon was something crazy. I did all of those weird, many 76 applications in one day. But now I'm gonna start with some of the projects that I heard you like, and this snowfall is really fitting because it's been snowing for the past week. So I thought that we will start with this and take it slow in this series. So I will explain what I do basically. But actually, also a very weird thing happened that I found this thing in the forest, and well, I'm not sure what to do about it. I found this thing, and it came with a note, and the note said something weird. It said something like, "Hold this uh, while you are live streaming." And something happens 10 minutes after the stream starts. So I'm not sure what to make about it. I think it's quite weird, but it's not 10 minutes left yet. So maybe we wait a little bit and see if something weird happens. But yeah, what do you make of it? Have you ever found something like this just lying around the forest? Hi, Frank. No, you didn't miss anything. I was just starting and I was telling people about my skiing accident from last week and that I have now these things that I'm walking with. And I found this thing in the forest, and it came with this note saying that I should hold it when it's 10 minutes past, whatever that means. I guess it means in 3 minutes or so. So, hi Nancy. I was also mentioning that what we will do is we will probably start off easy, and I'm going to go through these coding ultramarathon projects, and I'm going to start with this snowfall effect, and I will teach how to program this, but slowly, like at a slow pace, not the crazy many applications in one day. But this one is going to take maybe we don't even finish it today. But yeah, have you ever found something like this before? I don't know what to make of it, and the note is also quite suspicious. Yeah, I don't think anything will happen. But what do you think about the snowball idea? Some people commented that they liked the effect, and I got more feedback on Facebook about it. So I thought that we start with this. It's been snowing here in Finland for the last few weeks, and I think it's really fitting. What do you guys think? Hello. Yeah, sure. Well, this is the note. Can you see it? I think it's weird. The writing is also glowing and somehow moving a little bit, but maybe it's just moldy or whatever. It was in the forest next to the stick. You can't see it? Wow. Started to flame a little bit. I wonder what this is about. Weird. Well, anyway, I guess that this is now 10 minutes past, so I don't think anything is happening. I guess it's 10 minutes for you also. Oh, wait, this is 10 minutes on one laptop, the other one is 9. Yeah, so 10 minutes and what? Well, something weird happened in the 10 minutes past. So now I guess we can start to do something about this coding thing. What is this stuff? So I think that we can start, and we're gonna start quite easily in this Notepad++, and we're gonna have empty document here on the right. So this is empty HTML page, and on the bottom right, what you see here is the console where we're gonna do the debugging. So basically, I'm gonna start really easy, and I'm gonna do this snowfall effect, but it's not gonna be the basic snowfall effect. Like, this is what I've been doing at this ultra marathon, and well,
To me, this looks a little bit more realistic. Maybe we.
I don't think it looks that realistic. I think that what I want to do in this series is make it as realistic as possible with you guys and try to teach different techniques. And I'm not going to finish it today. Probably I'm not going to finish it next time either. So it's going to be something that we do, and we're going to polish very, very much in this show and see what we will end up with at the end. So what do you guys think? Are you interested to make this effect as realistic as possible? And we will start with very simple basic HTML, JavaScript, and maybe we are going to use a picture as a base. I thought that we are going to start by using this picture I took at the Collie National Park. And the idea will be that we make this picture look like it's winter and like it's snowing, but all we do is write programming code in basic HTML and JavaScript. So we will start easy and try to load this into an HTML page and then try to modify it somehow and add this snowfall effect on top of it. So that's what I think that we are gonna start today. So yeah, I have an empty document here, and the empty page that is here, I'm going to start by basically writing simple HTML code. HTML code has this HTML tag in the beginning, and this is the closing tag here, and then the head part of the HTML and the body part of the HTML. Now, this head part of the HTML should always contain a title. This is something that many people don't add in the HTML document because it doesn't really appear anywhere visibly in the page. But you can see this title in the tab of the browser. And if you have many tabs open, then it's maybe useful to declare this title there so that you can still find the correct page that you're looking for. So I'm gonna put maybe snowfall here and close this tag. So now if I refresh this page, it's basically going to look pretty much the same, but well, I don't see it because I'm not sharing that part. I mean, you don't see it because I'm not sharing that part of the screen, but here somewhere up in the browser tab, it says now snowfall. So that's very basic empty HTML page. To load the picture and to do all the animation, I'm going to use an item DOM element called the HTML canvas. This canvas element is going to allow us to draw things and animate things on top of it, like for example the falling snowflakes. So I'm going to load here, I'm going to write here a canvas and close the tag. And I'm going to give it an ID. Maybe we call it my canvas, because this ID is going to be needed when we write JavaScript code. We want to be able to access elements from the HTML inside of JavaScript somehow. And this ID is going to tell us how to communicate between JavaScript and HTML. So I'm going to save this file, I'm going to refresh the page, and you actually don't see anything there. This canvas is there, it has been added. If I go here in the elements part of my developer tools in Google Chrome, you can see that the canvas is here, but it appears as that kind of rectangle there, and it's transparent without me highlighting it here in the developer tools. You wouldn't be able to see it at all in the page. So to see it, I'm going to assign as a background image to this canvas the image I showed you earlier, which is just on my hard disk, and it's a simple JPEG image that I'm going to use in this project. So let's see how we do that. I'm going to have to declare a style. So declaring styles in the web pages are defined in another language. So HTML is the first language that we study. JavaScript will be the second language that we study, and that one is useful for animating things, moving things, interacting with the page elements. And finally, we will have also CSS. This CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets, and this defines the style of our web page. I will say here style, the style tag, and I will for now declare CSS inside of these tags, but later we will see that we can extract CSS code in a separate file so that the HTML doesn't become too big. Now I'm going to declare a style for our canvas, and I'm going to say background image, and I'm going to give it the URL of my picture, which is in this same directory, and it's called collie.jpg. Collie is the name of the national park where I took the picture in. So I'm going to save this file now, and I'm going to refresh the page, and you can see something appearing on the page. It's actually just the top part of the picture, the top left corner from up here, because by default the canvas I believe is just 300 by 150 pixels. Yes, you can see here in this elements, when I hover it, it says there the dimensions over the canvas. So we will need to make this canvas bigger somehow. And that is going to be done in the third language in JavaScript. So to write JavaScript, we are going to write this script tag here. And I'm going to write a function that is going to be called when the page has loaded. So usually people like to call this function main in other programming languages, and I'm going to call it the same here. And I will make this function be executed when the page is loaded. So on load, I specify that I want the main function to be called. Now, in this main function, I'm going to do what I said earlier. I'm going to target the canvas element, and I'm going to make it be as big as my image, as my JPEG image that I've stored locally. So I'm going to say canvas is equal to, I'm going to get this my canvas from the HTML by using document get element by ID. And I'm going to set its width and height to the size of my image. So here where I'm loading my image from the local directory, it shows here what are the dimensions, the original dimensions of the image. So I'm setting them now here for the canvas. My canvas is going to have the same size as the image that I'm working with. Well, let's see if this works. Okay, so something works. It's basically loading the image as the background of my canvas, and my canvas now has 1250 pixels by 938 pixels, like this. Of course, this doesn't seem to fit in my browser, especially when I'm showing you just part of my screen. So I could zoom out, for example, by holding Control and scrolling my wheel here at the mouse, and I can get it to fit in the screen. So now basically I have the image as a background to my canvas element, and I remind that this canvas will let us animate things on top of it or draw things on top of it. Basically, we can do anything we want with it. It's like the word canvas in English is that thing that the painter is making paintings on. So he's drawing things on it. And on the computer, you can draw many things repeatedly very quickly, and that will give the idea of the impression of movement. So yeah, this canvas can do very many things, and for now it just has this background image here. So I thought that we can start to do these snowflakes that are falling on top of the canvas. This is one thing that we can start with. Or maybe we can start with something a little bit easier today. I'm not sure. I thought that we could make it look a little foggy, because when it's snowing and there is a lot of snow coming from the sky, you actually can't see very far in the distance. Like, for example, this island here should become more difficult to see. And same goes for this very, very far away background. Basically, snowflakes are falling so much that in the distance, they are blocking your view. I'm not sure if you have seen very strong snowfall, but that's what usually happens. If you are going somewhere and you want to look far away at the horizon, it may not be visible anymore because the snowfall is so powerful. Yes, Diego, I'm using this OBS for streaming. OBS is short for this, is it Open Broadcast Studio, I think. And I think it's working quite fine. I'm also using it to teach at the university, because by default, these systems like Zoom and Teams and whatever, I don't like the way that they are sharing things. You can only share one thing at a time or your whole desktop at a time. And this OBS lets me share many screens at the same time, including my camera, and I can move my camera if I want. If I want it not to cover some text or things like that. Aha, how do you put the YouTube chat in the screen? I don't know how to do some of these things, but I don't know if they are so useful because my chat is not so used. I think so. Okay. Yeah. But anyway, so let's see how we would go about adding this kind of faded, foggy effect to this picture today. Or what do you think? Do you want to try to start already with the particle snow effect, or do you want to see this fog appearing first? Because if we just add the particle effect, it's not going to be enough. It's basically going to be just summary photo with some kind of white dots coming. So this will need quite a large amount of work to get it to look nice. Aha, okay. I will check the chat after this and look for this widget. Maybe I can get it to work. I've seen some people having this, that the chat appears on top of the video itself, so you don't have to keep it minimized, I guess. Okay, so let's try to do this this foggy thing, I guess, and leave the particles for a bit later. So to draw on the canvas, you need to first target this, this context. The context is an object inside of this HTML canvas, JavaScript canvas API that lets you to draw on top of the canvas. So you do that by saying context is equal to canvas get context, and then specifying that you want the 2D context of it. It's possible to also target here WebGL to do some things in 3D, for example, but we won't do any 3D things anytime soon. So, yeah. And now I want to draw something on top of this. So maybe I'm going to draw a rectangle that covers the entire canvas. And I want to see if I can make this rectangle somehow transparent so that it looks a little bit like fog. So I can see through it, but it is still there, blocking part of the image. Let's see how that goes. So I'm going to say, for example, I think I have to begin the path, and then I have to say rectangle from 0, 0. 0, 0 is the top left coordinate of the picture right now. And then you have to define the width and the height. Now, every time you see stuff like this, you should consider them suspicious. So these hard-coded values are something that you should always try to ignore to avoid when programming. And it would be a good idea to define these somewhere once and then just reuse them. For example, like this. And like that. And now I don't have to change this every time I change the picture that I want to work with. So I just need to change the values at the beginning in this scope here. So now I'm drawing a rectangle on top, but I also have to specify that I want this to be filled with some color. And let's see what we have now. Refresh the page and everything is black. By default, the color that I'm using to fill this stage is black. And this is something that I can change, of course. I can say that I want the fill style to be, for example, red. Now I have a red rectangle drawn on top of the collie picture that I loaded. But I can also specify the colors in this RGB notation. So this specifies amount of red, for example, green, and blue. So this is going to be maximum amount of red, 0 amount of green, 0 amount of blue. And when I refresh this page, I get the same thing as before. But depending on which one of these colors I'm going to make the maximum value, then those pixels are going to light up. So now I'm getting this blue highlight over the stage. Instead of RGB, I could also use this RGBA notation, which means that the last one here is the alpha. Alpha works a little bit differently. It stands for opacity or transparency. And if you put here a value of 1, you will get the same thing. But if you put a smaller value, for example, 0.5, then your rectangle is going to be blue, but it will still be see-through. So you can see the background through this kind of bluish tint that our image is being transformed somehow. So this is now me adding some kind of overlay on top of the picture, and I'm making it look a little different. Of course, this in the winter you don't see everything blue. You actually may see a fog which is light gray, maybe whitish in color. So pure white would be something like this. And now you can see it making my picture basically a little bit more brighter. And depending on this value that I'm using here for alpha, it's going to make it more transparent or less transparent. So I'm going to play with it a little bit. Now you can see almost you can't see it at all. But this value of 0.5 is making it like half transparent here. The thing is, this is not what I want. I want the background to appear really foggy, like that you can't see these kind of islands in the background there, and maybe the backside even less. So I want my fog to be some sort of a gradient here. And this thing is not doing it for me. Like it's not really changing it much. To work with gradients, you need to use something else. You need to use the create linear or create radial gradient methods from the context. So I'm going to try to do something like that. I'm going to define a gradient. And I'm going to say here to create a radial gradient. So this is going to be something like it starts off one color at one location, and then it will radially become another color. So let's see how that looks like. I'm going to start the first gradient at 0, 0. The first color is going to start at 0, 0. And I have to give it also a radius. I'm going to consider it 0 for now. And then 3 more arguments are going to be where is the second color going to be at the maximum value. So I'm still going to keep it centered at 0, 0, but let's give it a radius of maybe 1000, something like this. And we will start the gradient with one color, let's say red, and end the gradient with another color, maybe white. So this 0 here is specifying what should be the color in the beginning of the gradient, so in this part, and this 1 means the maximum value. So this is going to be where the radius reaches 1000 in this case. And I'm going to put this over the fill style instead of my one color that I defined previously, and see what happens. So you can see this red circle appearing there, which fades from pure red in the top left corner to pure white after this radius of 1000 pixels is reached. So this is what I want to do, but I want to have just white turning into white, but with different opacity values, so that the things that are going to be in the background are going to be hidden more than the things in the foreground. And let's see how we're gonna do that. First, instead of this red value here, I'm gonna use this same notation from before so that I see a little bit through it. And I'm gonna still keep the red for the start so that it's clearly different from the white where I'm aiming at. And the second color is going to be this white color here. So maximum red, green, blue makes the white. But notice that both of them are going to be somehow transparent now. And when I do this, this overlay, I can see a little bit of red in the top left corner. Looks a little bit like maybe the sunset is there, or I don't know. But now I can tweak these values, like where the gradient starts, what is the radius of the start of the first color, what is the radius of the second color, and I want to make these things in the background be a little bit more hidden than the things in the foreground. So this is my kind of idea how the fog could be made to look good on a 2D context. So simply doing this kind of small tricks, maybe we get it to look proper. Let's see. So if we say that maybe the first gradient can go all the way to, let's say, 400 pixels, you can see that now this red area here is bigger. Maybe you can see it better if I say that the second gradient also needs to start something like 410 pixels. So what happens now is that I have here red until 400 pixels, and then 10 pixels is very, very small, close to it, immediately changing into this white color there. If I put here maybe 500 pixels, then this has a little bit bigger transitioning step here. So now I want to play with these and cover this island and this background here with the red area. And maybe I need a bigger radius to start with, something like, let's see if 500 is enough. It's a little better, maybe 600 is enough. Yeah, something like this. And this 700 here, I think it can go all the way to the front. So maybe we can give it here again this 1000 pixels here. Okay, so slowly the fog is disappearing until in front of us where we don't really see any more fog. Now, removing the red. So instead of having the red value, I'm gonna put white again, but this transparency, I'm gonna have to get it, the opacity higher. So maybe I'm gonna put here 0.8. And now it gives this kind of impression that in the back we have less visibility than in the front, even though this is not a 3D scene, this is not a 3D environment, but the gradient does play this trick on you. That, okay, now the things in the background are less visible, and your mind interprets this as some kind of depth in this case. It's not perfect, but it does the job. So, I mean, it's not according to the exact equations that would make the distance become more blurry, but it's something that you can work with. And useful tool and quite simple to program, I think. And one thing that you could also consider here is these shouldn't really be circles. Like, let's make this red again so it's more visible. See here, the fog is coming quite close to our in front of us, but you wouldn't expect this. It would be actually, I mean, this wouldn't really happen in real life. You would like maybe it to end somewhere here, and then you see the lake better as in this area, in this bottom area here. So instead of having the simple radial gradient, which is making circles, you could make it be an oval instead. So flatten the circle. It could give a better effect than this. Let's try and see if this is doing anything. So basically, instead of drawing here, instead of drawing here this, okay, maybe we scale the context. So there is a method for scaling the context, and I'm going to say scale it 100% horizontally. So I don't change the horizontal scaling at all. I'm going to leave it at 100%, but I'm going to change the vertical scaling to 60%. So 0.6 here is going to essentially squish the context before I apply my gradient. Let's see what happens in this case. Okay, so you can see that the place where I'm drawing this kind of gradient became less, so it's now not covering the entire image here. This is something that we need to figure out how to fix. But also, this is not a circle anymore, which is actually what I wanted to get out of this whole thing. Maybe now we could make this radius a little bigger, like maybe 700. Okay, so now it's still covering this area here and part of the sky, but the red area is not getting very close to us anymore. So it should look better in perspective. Let's see. And this height of the rectangle now has to be bigger because I'm squishing the context to 60%. So maybe I just double this because I don't care if this rectangle is going to be below the canvas end. So now it's more than half, and doubling it, it's gonna cover everything. So let's see if this will work. Yeah, and let's see if we can make this radius a bit bigger. So extending a little bit where the red area is covering. So now I think that this is gonna look even better than previously. When I change to white and I make it more opaque in the background, you can see that these islands are disappearing. And if I put here 0.9 instead, they are almost invisible at the moment. And I think that when you look at this, it's kind of convincing that this is actually some kind of fog there. So yeah, what do you guys think? Is this anything that you could use or something that you find interesting? Basically, I want to be able to make it appear 3D when all I have is just this one picture. And this radial gradient is quite useful in this case, giving this kind of appearance here. Do you think this is convincing, or do you think it looks fake, or yeah, or maybe you have some better way of doing it that I don't know? How about it? Okay. So Streamlabs, Stream Elements, these are probably some things that I should know about. I marked them on my list. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so now with this fog in place, of course, it is different. So previously the picture looked like this. Now it looks like this. It's not nothing. It does change a little bit the ambience. So here it's definitely summer. I tried to find the most summery picture that I have so that it's gonna be a real challenge. And it already looks like not the best summery day anymore. So I think it plays with your mind quite a lot, adding this simple gradient there. So yeah, and I think that now we can move to making the snow effect somehow. And we will start with simple snow effect. Let's see how simple, but anyway. And then we will just polish it more and more and more until this becomes like as realistic as possible. I'm thinking maybe to make it that the snow is gonna fall down on this part in the front here, but it's gonna melt in the watery area, so that maybe snow starts to form here in the foreground, but not where the lake is. I think that this will add a little bit to realism, but I don't know. What do you think? Hmm. Yeah, it does, and I think it's so simple. So this gradient system really does the trick, and I think that scaling it like this also helps in this case. It depends, of course, where your picture is taken, what angle it's taken from, and things like that. It could be that linear gradient would be a better choice depending on the picture, but here it would make this part on the right also appear invisible. So I took this radial gradient because I want to cover only this part in the distance. And you can actually add even more color stops here. So you could, in theory, make this part completely invisible and then move to this. But I think that less is more. Less is more in this case. So Diego, you have used both of these Streamlabs and Stream Elements. Or how do you think, how do you know it's easier? And when are you streaming? I want to know. Okay. Yeah, I'm not very knowledgeable about these tools, to be honest. But I'm learning, and I have some things that are that I know how to use, and aha. But when you're streaming, what is it that you are streaming? What kind of topics are you doing? Oh, okay. Is it Minecraft or something else? I think Minecraft is really popular nowadays, and I think that I've seen you playing something like that once. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, you need to teach me more stuff. Okay, so let's move on now to particle snow, and let's see how much we can get done here. So to simulate particles, I'm going to have to define some kind of particle. So let's call it, for example, snowflake. So this is going to be a type of object that we can create. So we can now create a snowflake. And this snowflake is going to have some kind of properties. For example, the location. So when we build it in our constructor, we could specify it where we want this snowflake to be created and give it a location. This is one thing that we can do. And this location will become a property of the snowflake. So one of these snowflake's attributes is going to be location, and I'm going to initialize it with the parameter that I'm giving into this constructor here. Maybe you understand better if I rename this function argument here differently. And I want to be able to draw this snowflake on a canvas, for example. I'm going to specify the canvas here as a parameter, just in case I'm going to use more canvases later. It's good to be specific, not work with just one global variable everywhere. So when we are drawing this snowflake at a location, what we want to do is get the context as previously. Oh, not the function. And maybe we're gonna use the arc method. So the arc method of the context is going to draw a circle or part of the circle. So it depends how we want to use this method, but I'm going to use it to draw a full circle. So my snowflake for now, it's going to be just a simple dot on the screen. And it's going to be drawn at this location with a given radius. Let's say maybe 10 pixel radius. And to say that you want a full circle, you need to write this. So this actually means that I want to start the circle at 0 degrees and end the circle at 360 degrees. So I'm going to draw the full circle. This math pi multiplied by 2 is 360 degrees in radians, which is another unit for degrees for measuring angles that computers like more. Like the code and the libraries are usually built with these radians instead of degrees. So let's make begin path here, draw this arc and fill it with white color. Yes, it's something like that. So yeah, are you a Harry Potter fan? It's gonna be a perfect circle, but as I said, we will make this really realistic. So we will have to start to think about how snowflakes look like in real life. And for example, week ago, I'm starting to be on fire here. So a week ago, I took this picture of snowflakes in my car, or maybe it was a couple of weeks ago. This is how snowflakes looked on this one particular day here, but you don't really see snowflakes looking like this in the nature, do you? I mean, when they are falling from the sky, they are a little bit different than this kind of perfect symmetrical objects, like objects with this rotational symmetry. Wow, I think that I'm starting to, what is happening here? I'm starting to burn. I think this is not good. Can I do something about this? I don't think so. I think that something is wrong. Yeah. Okay, I think that something is definitely wrong, and this is probably time out for today. Damn it. I think that the time is running out on this flame. Is it? Yeah. Well, probably we have to continue this next time, but yeah, that's life. Is it something that I can do about it or no? No. I don't think I can do anything about it. I think that it's just time to stop for today. So this flame seems to have its limits, and I just can't continue over a specific time period. But next time, what I want to do is do this kind of snowfall effect. And this is what we started to do now. So this Snowflakes class is something that I want to use next time to make these kind of snowflake particles appear in front of the picture that I took here at the national park. So today what we did is we added this kind of fog in the background using the radial gradient method, and we also defined this snowflake class here that is going to form the snowflakes on top of the canvas. And we will also learn to animate these, but next time. It seems like today I'm out of this energy. Yeah, it seems like I'm starting to go off in flames. So yeah, what I'm using for the effects, no effects. This is just my stick that I found in the forest, which seems to have this kind of properties that I can do magic with, and also write code. So yeah, thanks for joining, and I hope you liked it and that you learned something. And next time we continue with this effect. So see you guys.